All right, I don't know about you guys, but today was an absolute crazy day for all things NFL news. And I told you guys, typically we don't really upload twice a day unless if I had a scheduled upload like I did with my Dak Prescott video. And if you guys missed that, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. It's a crazy analysis about whether Dak Prescott deserves a brand new contract or not. And I'm a Cowboy fan. I think I did a good job remaining unbiased in it. But in addition to it, we got so much news that I think I need to spend the first minute of this video just catching you all up before we talk about the thing that caught my attention the most. So, first of all, I'm planning on uploading all of these like little 1-minute news clips and 1-minute news bits that I typically can't fit into my YouTube videos onto my TikTok page. So if you want additional info, go to my TikTok page. But the first thing I saw that caught my eye was the New York Jets are having trouble re-signing Jamal Adams. As a result of that, there's a rumor going around that the Dallas Cowboys may be interested in trading for him. And the rumored trade kind of makes sense. I don't know how I feel about it as a Cowboy fan. This video is about something else, but I'll tell you the rumored trade. Apparently, the Cowboys are willing to give up a first-round pick and Michael Gallup for Jamal Adams. So let me know in the comment section if you think the Cowboys are giving up too much, or if you think that the New York Jets should accept that trade, or if you think the Jets should demand more. The other piece of news that really caught my eye is the fact that the New York Jets elected to sign Joe Flacco as their backup quarterback over Cam Newton. That's something that just really shocked me, because what's the deal? Why not wait for Cam Newton? Why not sign Cam Newton? The Jets have like 5 QBs on their roster, and Cam Newton's going into the season just on the bench. That's just something that confused me. Now that I got all the other news out of the way, cue that intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Your boy Microphone back again with our second upload of the day. Guys, real quick, if you love the NFL, make sure you take a moment to like this video, turn on my notifications, and subscribe. Guys, I'm gonna make you guys a deal. For every 1,000 subscribers this channel gains, from today and on, I will upload a video. I am trying to upload 47 videos before I hit 100,000 subscribers. Now let's get on to the meat of this video, because anytime we discuss Antonio Brown, anytime there's the tiniest little info about Antonio Brown, I'm going to talk about it on this channel, because he is one of the most peculiar cases in the entire NFL. Now, we could go on and on about his erratic behavior, but I'm sure most of you guys know the story of how last year he was playing well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he did have that drama with Ben Roethlisberger towards the end where he refused to play in his final games. The Steelers figured that they did not want to deal with Antonio Brown's nonsense anymore, so as a result of that, they decided to ship AB away to the Oakland Raiders. And at the time, this time last year, Oakland Raiders fans were rejoicing. They thought that they got a steal. They got the best wide receiver in the entire NFL, and they didn't really have to give up much to trade for him. So they ended up extending him, and Antonio Brown then has a series of very strange moments, from frostbitten feet to refusing to wear a specific helmet, all kinds of weirdness. And then eventually the Oakland Raiders decide to cut him. After that, he signs with the New England Patriots for a brief period of time, plays 1 game for them, and then the Patriots elect to cut him, mainly because of the drama and the controversy surrounding him. He was linked to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier this offseason, mainly because of his ties to Tom Brady. Antonio Brown shows tremendous respect for Tom Brady, but Bruce Arians isn't the biggest Antonio Brown fan, mainly from the impression he got from Antonio Brown when he was coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier on in his career. So today we got some very interesting news about AB. Originally, I thought Antonio Brown was going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys prior to the Cowboys drafting CeeDee Lamb. But now that the Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb, I think that's absolutely out of the question. It's absolute overkill. Now the Seattle Seahawks seem to be a huge contender for them, because Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, the face of the Seattle Seahawks, made an attempt to recruit Antonio Brown. First of all, shout out to Russell Wilson, dude. This guy is a phenomenal father. Did you guys see his tweet the other day wishing happy birthday to his stepson, Future, claiming that he's his own? What an incredible human being. But I digress. I just wanted to show love to the people that deserve it. So I want to take you guys through what the Seahawks offense is currently looking like and where Antonio Brown would fit in. For those of you guys that don't know, the Seattle Seahawks are taking several chances this offseason. For one, they signed Greg Olsen, a phenomenal and trusty tight end that you could depend on. if he's on the field. On the other hand, they also are very, very much so interested in bringing back Josh Gordon if he gets reinstated into the NFL. And if you ask me, given the more lenient rules in terms of the drug policy that the NFL has implemented due to the new CBA, I actually feel like there's a good chance Josh Gordon returns to the Seattle Seahawks. So could you just imagine, assuming Greg Olsen doesn't get injured, and assuming that Josh Gordon gets reinstated and plays a full season, which is a pretty big if. Josh Gordon typically doesn't play full seasons. You're looking at a potential receiving core that features DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Philip Dorsett, Antonio Brown, and Josh Gordon with Greg Olsen as your tight end. That's a pretty freaking good wide receiving core. I feel like that's a top 3 wide receiver core. Let me know in the comment section who's your top wide receiving core. But here's the thing. There's been multiple teams linked to Antonio Brown. I don't think this is a foregone conclusion. It depends on whether Antonio Brown would want to play for the Seattle Seahawks. If you ask me, if I'm AB, I made a video on him potentially joining the Baltimore Ravens. And I feel like the Ravens make a little bit more sense in terms of what they do, the style of offense they run. Their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, is a phenomenal offensive coordinator, but my issue is Greg Roman has been in a scenario before where a wide receiver who has been making his rounds through his final teams has joined his roster, and he really didn't make the most of his talents, perhaps because Greg Roman just likes to focus on developing new wide receivers or putting the newer wide receivers and the younger wide receivers in the best position to succeed. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, Greg Roman had the opportunity to work with Randy Moss in his final stop in the NFL, and that's for the San Francisco 49ers. But here's the thing, a lot of people don't realize this, but Randy Moss was a complete non-factor for the 49ers. And it could be because he was either getting that reputation of being a little bit of a diva, which towards the end of his career, Randy Moss was getting that reputation of being a bit of a diva. But on top of that, it could be due to the scheme that the 49ers ran. Back then, the 49ers were very, very much so placing a huge emphasis on the running game. And although the Baltimore Ravens do that, you do see Lamar Jackson making a lot of plays with his arm as well. As a matter of fact, he led the league in pocket passing TDs last season. So there is tremendous potential for Antonio Brown on either the Baltimore Ravens or the Seattle Seahawks. But the important thing is there is general interest for Antonio Brown. There is a chance, there's a good chance that Antonio Brown is going to return this season, assuming that he gets everything together and assuming that he doesn't let other stuff get in the way of his goal. Now, look, he still is undergoing an investigation for the personal conduct policy from last September's lawsuit about that sexual assault and alleged harassment of another female. And I don't really want to get into that. Assuming that he's able to get through all of that, I feel like Antonio Brown is going to return to either the Seahawks or the Ravens, especially if you have a player like Russell Wilson campaigning for you. Now, at the end of the day, I would much rather go and play the Baltimore Ravens if my cousin's there, because on one hand, my cousin's there. I would love to play with my cousin. But on the other hand, if he goes to Seattle, Pete Carroll has this tremendous track record of managing extremely volatile and difficult personalities. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's a better coach in terms of managing difficult personalities in the NFL than Pete Carroll. If you look at his track record, Marshawn Lynch was literally cast away from the Buffalo Bills to the Seattle Seahawks. Like, if you just look at his statistics, he was not averaging more than 1,000 yards in a season in his final years in Buffalo. That's why they traded him in the middle of the 2010 NFL season. He was averaging about 3.8 or 3.6 yards per carry, and he was considered to be a huge draft bust at the time and a huge head case. That's why the Seahawks took a chance on him. If you have a former first-round draft pick who's still young in the NFL, 24 at the time, you're obviously going to give him a chance. Pete Carroll's worked with him. Pete Carroll's worked with the very loud and outspoken Richard Sherman. He's worked with the entire Legion of Boom, which is a huge roster of personalities. And I'm pretty sure that I'm forgetting some players, including, of course, Josh Gordon. But what I'm trying to get to you guys is I am a huge believer in the way Pete Carroll manages tough and difficult personalities. I'm a huge believer in the way he manages head cases. So if you ask me, where do I think Antonio Brown's going to end up going? I think he's going to go to the Baltimore Ravens if he has the choice. But where should he go? If you're asking me, I think he should go to the NFC, to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, of course, the Seahawks have a harder road to the Super Bowl, considering that they're playing in the most difficult division in the entire NFL. You have the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, and the San Francisco 49ers in one division. That in of itself is absolutely terrifying, although the LA Rams are kind of trending downward. But it appears as if the Seahawks are making a ton of moves. They're also trying to bring in Devontae Freeman, but Devontae Freeman hasn't been working out. They're also trying to bring in Carlos Hyde. So keep an eye on the Seahawks. I feel like they're about to make a ton of moves. I mean, a ton.